Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lucy and I'm a fourth year medical student studying at the University of Nottingham. Today's video is a bit of a celebratory video because we recently reached 2,000 subscribers on this channel, and that is just so amazing because it only seems like a few weeks ago that we reached 1,000 subscribers, and that was incredible. And so to have doubled in subscribers is crazy. Thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed and who is following my little journey that I'm on to becoming a doctor. To celebrate, I thought I would do a video answering assumptions about me because I don't feel like I make many videos that sort of allow you to get to know me a bit better, and I think I've done an assumptions video in the past, but that was just about medical schools. So this video is going to be a bit more about me. I asked for your assumptions on my Instagram and I got quite a lot in response, and so I'm going to try and get through all of them, or at least most of them, in today's video. It was interesting how many of them were similar to each other, so I obviously give off certain vibes. But anyway, I'm going to get straight onto it so that we can get through as many as possible. So the first one is, you're definitely going to be a GP, and this was one of the ones that came up a few times. And my answer to that is, I just don't know. Quite possibly I will become a GP. I kind of have this set line that I say whenever someone says, what speciality are you going to go into? What type of doctor do you want to become? I always say the same thing, and it's exactly this, word for word. I've always wanted to do paediatrics and I've always thought that that's what I want to do, but I've not actually done paediatrics as a placement, so I've not really experienced it. So I've not seen really what it's like to be a paediatrician yet. So my decision might change dramatically after I've done my paediatric placement, which is at the end of this year. However, I am enjoying so far all of the specialities I've done. I enjoyed Obs and Gynae, I enjoyed psychiatry, I quite enjoyed geriatrics, to be honest, which I was quite surprised about. So I'm starting to feel more and more that it is quite likely I'll become a GP, because then you just get a mix of everything. The next one is, you're not always as happy as you show in your videos. Medical school is emotional. And this is completely true. Obviously, I could not always be happy and full of energy and, you know, excited, because if I was, I would just completely burn out. I would say that on the whole, like, I'm a pretty positive person, and with regards to medical school, you know, I am enthusiastic about it. I enjoy being on placement. I enjoy studying for it. So I am generally, you know, pretty happy, but of course it's very emotional. Of course medicine is a really tough course, and this year especially, with moving around with the placements a lot and sort of, you know, feeling quite isolated, I think, by, you know, being out in sort of the district hospitals and not being in Nottingham. Yes, it has been really quite hard, and there have been, you know, quite low points. You know, there have been a lot of tears. There have been a lot of sort of me just feeling like it's just so unfair that I'm having to move around all these district hospitals. Definitely, yeah, this year has been really, really hard. And actually, to be honest, there have been times in the first 3 years of medical school as well where I've found it extremely overwhelming. I've not really seen how I'm going to sort of, you know, finish my dissertation, or how I'm going to be able to learn all the content for the exams. But I've sort of learnt along the way that I will just muddle through, and I just sort of will work it out, and eventually, you know, everything will be okay. So I think that's kind of the attitude I have. But yes, for sure, medical school is emotional. The next one is, you wanted to be a doctor from a very young age, and again, this is one of the ones that came up loads. No, I wouldn't say that I actually did want to be a doctor from a young age. Like, it wasn't like I was a toddler and I was convinced I was going to be a doctor one day. In fact, I really vividly remember at some point in my childhood saying, who are the people who work in the hospitals, and like why would they want to work in a hospital? And I couldn't understand why anyone would want to work in a hospital. So obviously I've come quite a long way since then. I think it was about year 8 or year 9 that I started thinking about medicine seriously and started actually sort of getting some work experience. One of the big turning points for me was in year 7, when I had a parents' evening and my science teacher said, you know, do you enjoy science? Like, how do you feel about science? How do you feel it's going? And I remember saying, don't really get on with science, don't like it. And he said, oh, that's really surprising because you're actually really good at it, and, you know, like, you're really showing that you understand it well, and you know, I was doing quite well in science. And I remember thinking sort of then there was this shift in my brain that, like, oh, I actually could do something scientific. Like, I'd always sort of ruled it out as like I wouldn't go down a scientific career pathway. And then from that point onwards, I actually started to enjoy science a lot more. I think I kind of opened my mind to it. I can't remember the exact time that I thought medicine was for me, but it must have just sort of gradually came into my mind, and then I started to have sort of work experience, and I sort of just kept on pursuing it, and then here I am. The next one is you're upset you didn't get into Oxbridge. This is really interesting because I feel like whatever I say, people won't believe. The actual honest truth is that I'm actually not upset about it, and I don't remember ever actually being that upset at all. And I know that sounds like the typical person who got rejected from Cambridge and then said, oh screw you Cambridge, I didn't want to go anyway. I know that's what it sounds like, but I honestly, I do not remember getting my rejection email or letter, whatever it was, and crying or being disappointed. I knew I would be rejected. I knew as I was waiting for the decision, I knew that I wouldn't have got in. Partly because the interview was terrible. Well, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't my best. I didn't showcase myself as best as I think I could have done. But more than that, it was that I didn't enjoy the interviews at all, and I think the interviews kind of simulate what the teaching style was like at Cambridge, that kind of more personalised one-to-one tutorial, seminar, whatever, I can't remember what they're called, supervisions, that kind of learning style. And I remember thinking, this isn't actually what I want, and I do think a big part of me applied to Cambridge for the prestige and just to see what it would be like to have a Cambridge interview and to experience it and to just see if I could get in. And I honestly, this sounds like a lie, but if I had have got an offer, it wouldn't have been a sealed deal for me. I wouldn't have just gone to Cambridge as soon as I got an offer. I genuinely would have really thought carefully about going, and to be honest, there would have been a chance that I would have actually turned the offer down in the end. That was just from the vibe I got at the interviews and the experience of the interviews, and it's something I can't really articulate, and I'm sure lots of you might have seen my Cambridge interviews video. But at the end of the day, I really think it was the best thing that I didn't go to Cambridge, and I'm so glad that I'm at Nottingham. Yeah, I just don't think I would have been happy at Cambridge. I don't think the course style suits me, or the teaching style would have suited me, and yeah, I think I dodged a bullet, to be honest. The next one is you are very dedicated and don't procrastinate much. And this was something, again, that came up a lot, like I hardly procrastinate. My answer to this is that no, I don't feel like I do procrastinate. But the thing is, that's because I don't call like relaxing and leisure activities, I don't call that procrastinating. When I'm doing something like scrolling through TikTok or watching Netflix or just sitting doing nothing, it's actually because I've chosen to do that. It's not because I can't do my work and so I'm just, getting distracted. It's a choice, and I think that's something that's, again, it's quite hard for me to articulate, but I genuinely do feel like when I want to work and when I have work to get done, I will just do it, and that fundamentally is because I enjoy doing it and I enjoy studying, I enjoy medicine, I love it, so it's very easy for me to not procrastinate. But of course, yes, I get to points where I get fatigued or I think, no, I can't do this anymore, like I need a break, and at that point I choose to do something like scrolling through TikTok. But it's not a distraction, it's a choice. And yeah, I think that just comes from me being very self-aware of what I can do and how much work I can get done, and knowing when it's time for me to stop. Some people might call it procrastinating, the fact that I might do half an hour of work and then stop and do something else to relax, but I know that's because in the long run, me having that break and me doing that relaxing activity will mean that I can then later work a lot harder and get a lot more stuff done. So I hope that kind of makes sense, but I never really feel like I'm stuck in a cycle of procrastination. I always feel like I'm doing the thing that I need to be doing in that moment. The next one is you're near the top of your year group. So at medical school, for anyone that doesn't know, we do get ranked and we get sent our deciles of where we are in the year group. And that's because when you get to the end of medical school and you apply for your job as a doctor, your ranking of where you are in your medical school actually contributes to this like point system, and that point system determines whether you get the job, that's the top of your list. The ranking of where you are in your medical school does matter. It didn't matter in first year, but for me, It's the ranking of where I was in second year and where I am in fourth year, which is this year, that go towards that final ranking that I'll get at the end of medical school. For second year, it didn't really count as much. I think most of it is on the fourth year ranking. So obviously I've not done my fourth year exam, so I don't know where I am in the year currently. But in second year, when we got our rankings, then yeah, I was near the top of my year group. The next one is, you think you might want to specialise in Obs and Gynae. And again, this is something I got so many times, is people thinking that I want to specialise in Obs and Gynae. And I think that's because I did that placement. That was my first placement, and so I was very enthusiastic about it, and I made a whole video about Obs and Gynae. Yeah, I like it. I really did enjoy Obs and Gynae. I just don't know if I'd want to specialise in it. I don't think I'd want to be an Obs and Gynae sort of consultant or registrar. I'd like to do some gynae particularly, but obviously that could be, you know, very much a general practice kind of thing. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, but I can't see myself specialising in it. The next one is, you are a workaholic, you study all the time. No, I am a workaholic in that I love my work, I love medicine, I love studying, I love learning the content, I love being on placement, I like seeing the patients, I love all of it, but I wouldn't say I study all the time at all. I like to sort of study a bit every day, so I don't know, that to some people that might be loads, and to some other people that might, you know, just be quite normal for them. I like to do a little something every day, even if it's just a few flashcards or something. At the weekends, I'd say I do approximately 3 hours. 3 hours on Saturday, 3 hours on Sunday, and that's focused time that I'm studying. Sometimes it might seem like I have these really long study days, but that's because I have lots and lots of breaks, and sort of, you know, I dedicate time to sort of doing yoga or doing a run or going on a walk. I dedicate time to just relaxing or to doing things like YouTube and like other hobbies. So I have long study days, but I'm not studying for the whole day. I'm sort of interspersing my studying amongst all the other things I enjoy doing. The next one is, you always ace your medical school exams. Well, I'd say that I've been happy with every result I've had, apart from, whoa, this huge like raven just landed on the window. I'd say that I've been happy with pretty much all of the results I've received, other than two or three. My first year OSCE I was not happy with at all, and that's because I was extremely flappy, I was very nervous, I didn't have much self-confidence at doing clinical skills at all, and I think it knocked my confidence actually, that first year OSCE. I wasn't happy with that. I certainly didn't ace that. And there was an exam, I think in second year maybe, that, you know, it was quite a big exam, it was worth a lot of credits, and I didn't sort of live up to my own expectations. But other than that, I would say that I've been, yeah, pretty happy with my exam results. But that's because I do put in a lot of work, so I think when I then don't get those sort of top grades, I am quite hard on myself, because that is what I'm striving for. That's why I spend a lot of energy, you know, learning things and and trying to understand medicine. Next we have probably the most interesting assumption, and it's that you've never been clubbing. And I find this really funny because actually I absolutely love clubbing. Like in Freshers Week in first year, I went out on every single night in the week. Throughout first year, second year and third year, like I was going on nights out. I probably averaged once a week, to be honest, but obviously some weeks in first year I was going out like 2 or 3 times a week, because, you know, it was just all so exciting. And then, you know, second and third year I think it sort of dropped down to like once a week maybe, or maybe not necessarily even once a week. But no, I absolutely love clubbing. Like I think I come out of my shell, and I feel I feel like I just love it. I think it's just so much fun. And obviously with lockdown and everything, it's actually such a shame that there can't be any nights out this year, because more than ever I think this year I would really appreciate a big night out to just relieve all that stress and have something to look forward to. Next we have, you are super smart. I don't really know. I mean, what does smart really mean? Like, I know that's quite deep, but I would say that I put a lot of hard work into medicine and into academia. For some people, you know, academics isn't the most important thing for them, but for me, like, it's one of those really important things in my life. So yes, I do put a lot of time and energy into it. I'd also say that I do have quite a sort of a good brain for memorising things. I don't know if that's like I've trained my brain to be that way, or whether that's just something you're born with. I don't really know. I don't know, but yeah, I'm quite good at memorising things, and I think that's why, you know, I think that helps with medicine a lot, because there is so much content you just need to remember. And, you know, I think I'm quite sort of, in nature, I'm quite like analytical, so like I'm you know, I'm quite good at kind of like working things out. I don't know. But yeah, I just think, you know, intelligence or being smart, like there's so many different takes on it. Like some people are very socially intelligent, like they're very good at like getting on with people and like, you know, managing people and stuff like that, and that's very different to kind of like the more introverted sort of quiet intelligence that some people have. Some people are really good at like maths, calculation. Some people are really good at like creative writing or like analysing, you know, literature. So there's just a whole spectrum of like different, you know, types of intelligence. I guess, yeah, I am quite smart in some things, but like not in others. For example, I cannot do puzzles. I'm awful at puzzles, and I'm not very good at that kind of those spatial kind of logic things. So yeah, there's lots of types of intelligence, and I probably have one kind of intelligence and other people probably have lots of different types of intelligence. Next we have, you went to a private school, and again this one came up I think like 5 times. And no, I didn't go to a private school, I went to a state school. It wasn't like even a grammar school or anything like that, it was literally just a state school. It was just a school in my town that everyone went to. My sort of view on private schools, like personally, is that I think I probably would have achieved the same grades regardless of whether I went to a private school or a state school. And I think that's because I rely a lot less on sort of teaching that I'm given, and I rely more on myself actually taking the time to like learn things and figure things out for myself, and making revision resources and stuff. So I don't think it would have made a difference, like if I was at a private school or a state school. I think I would have just come out of the same grades. And yeah, so no, I didn't. It's interesting that that came out so many times. Like I wonder what it is about me that makes you think that, because I think there's just no way to tell, surely, like what school someone went to, but it's interesting that that kept coming up. So next we have, you would describe yourself as more of an introvert. This is a really interesting one, and like very observant of whoever, you know, came up with that assumption, because yeah, I struggle to like categorize myself as either an introvert or an extrovert. There's like a definition somewhere that an extrovert is someone who feels energized when they're with people, whereas an introvert would re-energize by being on their own and like spending time with themselves. And judging from that sort of definition of it, I think I am an introvert, and that's because I feel like, although I love like, you know, socialising and being with other people, I think ultimately I come away from like a social situation and I normally feel like quite fatigued from it, and I feel like I need to re-energise, and I think I wouldn't be good at spending long periods of time without having alone time. So for example, like if I had to go on like a 4-week holiday where I had to stay in a group of 4 people at all times, like that would be really difficult for me. Whereas for an extrovert, that would probably be really exciting and energizing for them to always have people around them. Whereas I feel like I need my own space, and I very much need time on my own. But having said that, I don't know, I think I'm quite like extroverted in certain situations and with certain people. So like when I'm with people I'm really comfortable with, and I think this is probably true for all introverts. Like I'm very loud and, you know, like enthusiastic and like excited and stuff. So I think it just depends on the situation and the people. But yeah, I am quite timid, I guess, amongst newer people, and like in newer environments. So yeah, ultimately maybe I would describe myself as more of an introvert. The next one is, you're an exorbitant coffee drinker. I think this is a bit of a medical student stereotype that, oh, that raven thing just landed on the window again. Yeah, I think this is a bit of a stereotype for medical students, that we're all sort of like guzzling coffee to keep us awake and like to study late into the night and stuff. No, I don't really drink coffee, to be honest. Like, I do like it. I like the concept, I think, more than I like the actual drink, but I do like, you know, having a nice, you know, cup of coffee in the morning, or like, I do enjoy it, I appreciate it. I like going to a coffee shop and getting a coffee, but no, I'm not like a coffee drinker. I don't have a coffee every day at all or anything like that. And finally, I think I'm going to end on this one because I think it's actually very like insightful and observant of this person, and it's, you're finding clinical placements lonely, difficult to spend time with friends. And I think that's a really, you know, like, it's a valid and it's a true point, in that clinical placements are actually quite lonely by nature. So luckily, I'm actually with one of my housemates for all of my placements. So when we sort of sent off our forms of like our preferences of where we wanted to be placed for our placements, I didn't get my top preference, obviously I got like my worst choice, but that's why I'm moving around so much. But yeah, we put each other down, so we are going around our placements together, and so I always have that one person who I'm with, and a lot of the time, you know, we're in the same accommodation, or you know, we're actually on placement together, you know, see each other at lunchtime and things. And obviously there's lots of other medical students that I know on my placements. It's actually been quite nice because obviously we're rotating around. I've sort of, you know, had lots of different groups, and so it's nice to kind of get to know people, but then it's also sad that you know them for like 4 weeks and then you all move on to different placements and you'll split off again. So it's kind of lonely in that it's not a stable group that you're with the whole year, and you keep having to kind of adjust to like being with new people, and then those people move on and then you're with other people. And it's also lonely in that a lot of the time when I'm doing placement activities, like when I'm in a clinic or on the wards or whatever, I am on my own, and I think that's quite, you know, that's the thing that makes placement most challenging, I think, for me, is that it's very independent, and it's like a lot of it is self-directed, and it's just a case of turning up to a ward where, you know, you don't know anyone, and just saying, hello, I'm Lucy, I'm the medical student, and I'm going to be with you for 2 weeks. And in those 2 weeks you never quite get comfortable, you know, with everyone, and you never quite get comfortable enough on the ward to know where things are and to know exactly how everything works. So it always feels a little bit like you're the odd one out, and you know, you're the one like trying to figure out what's going on all the time, and you're the one like always asking questions and things. And yeah, I think there is like a lonely element to it, and like sometimes, you know, you'll go and have lunch and like there'll be no one else having lunch at that time, so you'll just be on your own. It's also not lonely because obviously you spend the day with lots of like doctors and nurses and like physios and all the other like multidisciplinary team members. You spend time with lots of different patients, so it's sociable in that you see lots of people, but like you do also feel like you're kind of on your own and like you're quite isolated at the same time. I think it's just something that I'm getting used to now though. But yeah, that was a very sort of like good assumption, like that is kind of true, it is quite lonely. But in terms of spending time with friends, it's really not too bad. Obviously I have my housemates, and with lockdown anyway, it's not like we can go out and see other people anyway, so it's nice to just, you know, yeah, have the solid housemates that I'm with, plus seeing people on placement, because I'm actually quite fortunate, I think, in that I am able to carry on going to placement and seeing other people throughout the pandemic, whereas I know it must be so hard for people at university who are just stuck at home and can't socialise at all. So I am very grateful that I am getting to see other medical students, and I'm getting that sense of community. Even though like it's never the same group, it's better than nothing, definitely. So I will end this video there. I hope you sort of learnt a bit more about me, and if you'd like any more of these sort of assumptions videos or Q&As, or you know, videos for you to get to know me a bit better, then let me know in the comments. Remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, to join this lovely group of 2,000 of us that we've got going on, and yeah, to follow my journey becoming a doctor. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you very soon for my next video. Bye!